And we have other leaders also asking Nigerians to thread cautiously. And we will see where this unfolds as we go along. Now, our original plan was to talk about these Nigerians who have been busted in America. And we're hoping that we're still going to have time to talk about that, but this is a very big story. And on 99.3 Nigeria Info, we follow the story. Ijomesek currently trying to reach us, and as soon as we have that connection go through, we will hear from her what she's witnessed. We're hearing reports that one person has been shot dead in the ruckus that ensued at Jakande today. So we're waiting to hear more from her, and when we do connect with her, she'll be filling us in on all of the blanks. Now, on the Big Hard Fact today, we have plans to take you to America, where Nigerians were busted for fraud. Various Nigerians and Nigerian Americans arrested by the United States. So we're taking a look at that story. And today's Big Hard Fact is that the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, American businesses lost over $3 billion. That's 1.08 trillion naira to business email compromise scams, also known as BEC. We're going to have a lot of conversation about BEC. What is it exactly, and how can you protect yourself when it comes to that? Because a lot of Nigerians are also falling victim to BEC. So we will have a conversation after we speak with IJ, who is currently at Jakande. We're still trying to link up with her. Now, BEC's scam was in the news last month. If you paid attention to Nigeria Info, any of the shows really, the Big Hard Fact, the Big Three, we talked about it a lot. And we told you that a Nigerian, Obiwanne Okeke, also known as Invictus Obi, was arrested last month for using BEC to defraud American businesses of over $21 million. That's over 7.5 billion naira. And Okeke isn't alone. In a separate bust, the U.S. government has arrested and charged over 70 Nigerians for alleged involvement in a fraud ring that operated internationally, stealing millions of dollars. And we're going to be looking at that story. We're going to be looking at these cases as we go along today, and what they spell for Nigerians and Nigerian businesses in the international community. Nigerian businesses in the international community have been in the news as well because of what is happening in South Africa. If you paid attention to our Big Three today, we brought you reactions of Nigerians to the attacks happening. We also told you that the Foreign Ministry summoned the South African High Commissioner to Nigeria. His name is Bobby Moreau, and this was in response, of course, to the xenophobic attacks against Nigerians and other foreigners in South Africa. The federal government had previously called the attacks on on Nigerians in South Africa unacceptable, and the Foreign Minister Geoffrey Onyama had tweeted that action would be taken. A tweet that some people have complained is a bit too mellow. Now, the violence, we told you on the Big Three, began over the weekend with South African mobs vandalizing foreign-owned businesses, setting cars ablaze, and physically assaulting immigrants. The attacks were allegedly triggered by the murder of a taxi driver, allegedly at the hands of drug dealers, with conflicting stories about the identity and nationality of the perpetrators. And we will stay on this for as long as we can. It's a conversation that will continue on. I beg to differ as well. We'll find out from you if you think the government has gone far enough. We're still trying to get in touch with Ijomesek, Aghogho, but that's not working out.
She's trying to find a safe area where she can connect with us because we understand it's a bit chaotic. The shop right along the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway, which is a South African interest. We're getting reports that one person may have been killed. Yet when we get in touch with Ijoma, she will tell us whether it's true or not, whether that has happened.
Yeah.
But it's pretty disturbing that this incident Tunji did tell us about on the Big Three has escalated. And so they have what we're looking at now is a full-blown protest where we hear people are chanting songs, pretty rowdy. at the Lekki Express area. So if you're around that area, please drive carefully. We're going to be updating you about the security situation there, where we understand a number of policemen have put up a cordon also to prevent this from spreading to the expressway. We're also getting reports that at least one MTN shop has closed, but most MTN shops have closed. MTN is also linked to the South African interest in the country, and several of them have closed shop early today because of fear that this could spread to their offices. So that's the situation. We're going to get in touch with Ijoma very soon, and she'll update us on all that's happening. But Sandra, this has escalated very quickly. In my recent memory, even though I know that there have been planned protests against South African interests when we've had the xenophobic attacks happen in 2017, which was one of the most serious I remember in recent times. It did not come to Lagos. It was just in Abuja where it happened, and just a couple of placards and just a couple of people that happened. But what is pretty disturbing, going by Tunji Andrews' account, is how spontaneous this happened. And what is of great concern usually in a Lagos protest is the way it gets out of control very quickly. Anyone could get caught on it, and in that axis, the Lekki Expressway, many times where we've had protests in the past happened, you've had hoodlums take over, hijack it, and the fact that this wasn't planned by any group. I've been going through online trying to see where I missed anything happen. But some people calling for a protest or anything. I can't remember anything.
No, actually,
happened.
Well, there's been okay, fine. So there are no organized groups calling for protests, but single Nigerian voices have actually been calling for a shutdown of South African businesses on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Not a physical movement like saying we're going to be hitting
here.
So
no, none of that. Yeah, that's why I said no organized movements, but single voices in Nigeria. I mean, I saw a video of a young man carrying a placard inside one of the ShopRites in Lagos, and he tagged it "My one-man protest" at this business establishment. So it's interesting what's going on. It's sad and interesting.
Yeah. Protest is good, but violence condemned absolutely, because at the end, people who have no business in this entire thing get hurt. Unfortunately, innocent bystanders get mugged. Every time I've seen this happen many times, the people who get attacked and people who lose their lives are people who have no business with what is going on, unfortunately, and have got caught up in this. And
I also worry about copycat protests.
Yes,
I worry about that too.
And then a lot of fingers are going to point towards security agents and exactly what they did to prevent this from happening. Because immediately this happened and all those stories began to go online, especially those viral videos, saying X, Y, and Z. They should have put up the alert quickly, saying, look, this is a likelihood that it could escalate. But I can't remember any statement from the police warning people and saying and calling for restraint. So this is definitely going to be a low in terms of how the police responded to this. I see a number of South African organizations following those attacks from Thursday over the weekend, putting out statements saying we condemn the violence against Nigerians and all African nationals in South Africa. I think it was MTN who put that one out. I did see that message, and just reiterating that they condemned in absolute terms what had happened. So tomorrow, people, even beginning from now, people are going to be asking questions on what exactly did we do to prevent this from escalating.
What I also worry about all of the possible what's it called now, copycat protests that could happen as a result of this. But we're hoping that things stay under control, and we're hoping that our police can be on top of this particular matter. I mean, some people would say they had men to send to a birthday party to stop it, so they can obviously send out men to curtail any protests.
Yeah, let's try and get back in touch with Ijoma and see if she's found a safe place, and then she can now have the conversation with us.
And while we're trying to do that, let's go back to the major conversation we were supposed to have today anyway. Remember that I told you that we're looking at the recent arrests. We're discussing those recent arrests in the United States of various Nigerians and Nigerian Americans for fraud. According to the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, American businesses lost over $3 billion. That's 1.08 trillion naira to business email compromise scams, also known as BEC. Now, the BEC scam was in the news last month because a Nigerian, Obiwanne Okeke, also known as Invictus Obi, was arrested for using BEC to defraud American businesses of over $21 million. That's about 7.5 billion naira. Now, Okeke isn't alone. He's not the only one who's been arrested. The U.S. government arrested and charged over 70 Nigerians for their alleged involvement in a fraud ring that operated internationally, stealing millions of dollars. And that's one of the conversations we're looking at today while we wait to connect with Ijoma Esek. Now, these cases, we want to look at what they spell for Nigerians and Nigerian businesses in the international community. We also want to talk to you about how to protect yourself from the growing threat of internet fraud, and we will be joined by experts who will give us insight into these matters. We're hoping that we'll be able to connect with our guests from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. I'm talking about somebody who is very knowledgeable about this. He's an expert, Wilson Owajaran. He's the EFCC spokesperson. We'll be talking to him. We'll also be talking to an executive with a Sana Capital. Sana Capital is a venture capital firm that owns various fintech companies. That's financial technology. His name is Andy Oboh, and he's going to be joining us as well. We're hoping that we can do all of this after we connect with Ijoma Esek. And as usual throughout the show, we're taking your opinions about this issue by phone and by WhatsApp messages. It's what we want to know from you today. What I'm curious about is if you have ever been a victim of an online scam. That's actually what I want to know from you. Have you ever been a victim of an online scam, or do you know anyone who was a victim? How did it happen? Did you report the crime? What was the outcome of reporting the crime? And then why do you think internet fraud is so rampant? It may seem like such an obvious question, but it really isn't. Why do you think internet fraud is so rampant? Why do you think that's happening? What do you think citizens should do? What role should private citizens play when it comes to stopping internet fraud? We'll have that conversation as the show goes along. I am Sandra Ezekwesili. All right, let's try and get in touch with our guests for the big hard fact as we wait to get in touch with Ijoma Esek. Now, it seems like a high proportion of fraud cases are connected to Nigeria. And what I actually want to find out is why. Because a lot of nations have their own organized crime element, and these national crime elements tend to focus on a few areas of crime. So I want to find out why it seems like a high proportion of fraud cases are connected to Nigeria. So, for example, you have the Colombian and the Mexican cartels, and those ones are heavily into drug trafficking. You have the Russian mafia heavily into human trafficking. And, it kind of looks like, it kind of seems like the Nigerian crime syndicates are often into fraud. Now, I'm no expert, so we're going to wait to hear from our experts if my speculation is on the money, is correct. And then, of course, as a business person, you have to wonder, you have to worry about how the high rate of fraud cases involving Nigerians affect Nigerian companies who are doing business abroad. It has to create strong mistrust for businesses originating in Nigeria. That's just off the top of my head, but I'm wondering if our experts are going to agree with me. There are restrictions right now on transactions originating in Nigeria. As a Nigerian with my Nigerian card, I can't shop on certain websites online. I can't do that. International website, and it leads to a lot of checks and red tapes which can slow down business. So as a business owner, I'm wondering I'm wondering if this is something that worries you. It should be. I think it should be, to be very honest. And then, of course, private Nigerian citizens who are not businessmen or women, how does it affect you, as a private citizen? Is there extra scrutiny when we travel? Does it lead to, more difficulty? Okay, I don't know whether it could lead to more difficulty with obtaining visas. I don't know whether it could lead to discrimination. It's all quite mind-boggling. But it looks like we've got Ijome Sek finally on the line. I've been told that we can talk to her for 2 minutes, and you can actually watch this interview on our Facebook page. Facebook is Nigeria Info 99.3. So scoot over to Facebook right now so that you can see what I'm seeing on my screen, and you can see what Ijoma is seeing where she is at Jokonde. It looks like the connection did not go through, so we're going to keep trying to get back in touch with Ijoma Esiek. Now, recently, there have been some articles linking fraud to Nigerian organized crime, specifically the confraternities. I mean, we talked about cultism on Community Report today, and these articles that I read, they linked fraud to Nigerian organized crimes, specifically these confras that started in the universities. And one of the things that I want to find out when we get in touch with our guests, our experts, is how deep the link between organized crime and fraud is. And then, of course, when we have our fintech guy on the show, there'll be extra questions for him as well. Ijomete Esiek is... Okay, so we don't have that connection yet. All right, so we're still working on getting across to Ijoma Esek, and as soon as we do, you will be hearing from her. You'll be seeing what we see and what she's seen as well. Now, I remember an episode of Eyewitness where we had several people. Lydia, I remember Lydia. I'll never forget Lydia because of how sad she sounded. 80,000 naira was taken from her account, and it broke my heart to hear her story. You know, she has her PIN, she has her ATM card, she's never given it out to anybody, and yet she was in her house and she was getting debit alerts, you know, from somebody collecting money from her account. I also have a colleague here who that happened to as well. 200 grand was taken from her account by somebody in Ghana. So someone who's listening to me on the show is a potential victim. A lot of Nigerians are defrauded every day. And some of these scams are scams that you can try to protect yourself against. So you take a look at the business email compromise scam, for instance, or Beck scam. It's a scam in which the victim receives an email that appears to be coming from a trusted source. You know, so example, a superior in the organization or a trusted vendor or a financial institution. So it looks like, oh, your bank sent you an email, or it looks like, you know, it just always looks like it's somebody that is trusted. But that email is really from a fraudster who has somehow faked the email address. And that email, and sometimes it can be a chain of emails, eventually tries to convince you, a potential victim, to give away secret information that could enable a transaction or trigger the transactions themselves. So maybe they'll send you a link, they'll ask you to click on the link. When you click on the link, they can do the rest for themselves. And it's quite the thing. And so if you are an employee in a company, the things that you can look out for to protect yourself from business, what's it called now? Business email compromise scams, is to not respond to any emails that you don't know the source. If you're an employee somewhere and you get an email and you don't know the source of that email, or the email address doesn't look very trustworthy, or it just raises any questions whatsoever, do not respond to those emails. Try and confirm any email requests for sensitive information by calling the requester or talking in person. So someone sends you an email and says, we need your details, we need your BVN, we need your PIN, we need the last 4 digits of your card. Do not respond to that. Do not even answer. Do not even fill in any details. Instead, maybe insist on calling the person. Maybe call your bank. Because banks have, Banks all have customer care lines that we can all call, right? So you get such an email claiming to be from your bank. Call your bank and tell your bank, I got this email from you. What's going on? And then they'll tell you, oh no, it's a fraud. We will not send you an email. And banks often do that, to be very honest with you. Banks are always sending out emails telling you that we're not going to ask you for this, for this, for this. If you get an email from us claiming to be us, it's not us. So don't engage with whoever it is that is claiming to be us. So I think if we can do things as basic as that, not respond to emails from unknown sources, try and confirm email requests for sensitive information by calling the requester or talking in person, we may be able to protect ourselves from business email compromise scams. And when the US government announced its arrest of those Nigerians in America, millions on Facebook. Ijoma, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Sandra.
Good afternoon to you. How are you? What's happening where you are?
Oh, isn't chaotic here. Right from the time I left the office to Jakonde, the scene where you have ShopRite, the Circle Mall, there's been dreadlock. The whole place is blocked, and I can tell you, just beside me, a guy was shot beside me. And after that, the guys around here decided to set the police van on fire. Cars have been attacked. They've been attacking cars and burning tires right in front of me. And these guys, with what I've gathered so far, they are not ready to relent. They are not even ready to go back home. They said they are out here for fire. There's been a series of gunshots, and in between the gunshots, the shots that was fired by some police officers, that was when one person was gunned down. Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes, I am. I'm.
So where exactly are the policemen? Where are the protesters?
As I speak to you, we have some police officers inside ShopRite, and the ones that were outside, they can no longer be seen. I can't see them on site now. I have some people here that are ready to speak to you. Are you ready to speak? We are live. Are you ready? Are you ready to speak on live? Okay, we have some passers-by. I have some passers-by here that took eyewitnesses. But trust me, they don't want to talk live. They don't want to show them. They don't want to their full faces to be shown. But I can tell you that the whole situation here is quite chaotic.
Attacking the police and each other.
Okay. The people here tried as much as possible to gain access into the mall, and they were being prevented by the police to gain access. So that was the reason they started throwing stones and throwing tires and throwing all sorts to the police.
By the police right now?
Yes, that's just another gunshot. Yes, that is another gunshot.
Gunshot or tear gas canisters? Are they firing tear gas?
For now, I can't see any tear gas, but what I can see here is tires that are being burnt by angry youths.
That it's only the police that is armed, or do we have young people who are armed as well?
Right now, I cannot confirm that, but the people around here alleged that the situation now, they've already started phoning their friends from far and near to come over right now to Jakonde, the Circle Mall, to assist them in whatever they want to do. They've been throwing series of stones into ShopRite to gain access, but the officers here they've really tried their best in trying as much as possible. Yes, in managing the situation, I can tell you that for sure.
Policemen we have there, and the numbers of protesters we have.
I'm in a safe corner now, Aghogho, and I cannot see any police officer as I speak. Yes, earlier on when I got here, there were lots of police officers, but the number of police officers I saw as at when I got here they were outnumbered by those on ground, the youths and the angry youths on ground. And according to another report I just got now, there might be a reprisal attack based on the fact that one of their own was killed. And the people that were talking here, they claim that the police should be behind them. The police should be fighting their cause. The police should be for them and not fighting against them. They want a situation, their call is for the businesses of South Africans here in Nigeria, especially here in Lagos, to shut down their business, trying in as much as possible to give them back what is happening in their hometown in South Africa. I can see some police vans.
Let's see what you're seeing.
Okay.
Now, if you're listening, you can also watch. Remember that you can now see your radio. So get on our Facebook or our YouTube and watch for yourselves. Nigeria Info 99.3. That's the Facebook page, and that's also the YouTube. And you can see what we're currently seeing on our screens. The crowd is massive. Aghogho.
Yeah, it's a huge crowd, and I'm a bit concerned how we can manage the situation.
Okay, so if you can, that is the police van that was set on fire.
So that's the Lekki Ekpe Expressway, IJ. Is it there's no traffic? I don't see any vehicles along the expressway.
No, that's not the express. It's in a corner.
This is inward ShopRite Road. This is inward ShopRite Road, and this is ShopRite. This is in front of ShopRite.
As you can see, the whole place.
As you can see, the whole place is. There's no more. There's no more individuals. There's no more
smoke
individuals in there. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I've done that. Okay, as you can see, the dead body is being brought back to the scene of the incident. They are bringing it back to the scene. Can you see that? Okay, just hold on. You will see the guy. The guy is lifeless. Can you see it now?
Man, and go where the dead body day. Then they was given a Nigerian police.
Hello? Okay.
We can continue the conversation. But if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see Ijoma Esek, our correspondent. She's at the ShopRite Mall along the Lekki Expressway. You can see some of the traffic along the expressway and people watching, bystanders in shock with all that's happened in the last couple of hours as a group of people have attacked the mall, and now we understand that this one person has been killed. So, IJ, what else have you heard from people around you? What have they said about what is going on?
Okay, with what I have now, the guy that was shot dead,
I guess they took him to the hospital to confirm if he was still alive. But having been confirmed dead, his colleagues decided to bring him back to the front of ShopRite. They've dumped the dead body.
By the police.
They've dumped his corpse in front of the gates, ShopRite gates, the entrance of the mall.
Standing there in a quick interview, even if they turn their back.
Another gunshot.
There's another gunshot. There's another gunshot.
There's another gunshot.
There's another gunshot. And nobody is ready to talk now. Nobody is ready. Nobody can come out. Nobody can come out. A lady was inside her car, and the car boggled, and she's the one. She's panic attack. You can see the lady. She's been in a panic attack since. You can see her. She's been in a panic attack. She said she was the one driving with two of her colleagues, and they attacked her. And ever since then, the people around me, they are trying to get a doctor to attend to her.
Tell us about the police reaction to this entire thing. I don't understand why a cordon hasn't been established around this area.
As soon as I get off the phone with you, I will try as much as possible to contact the state headquarters. Let's see what they are doing.
Yes, yes.
That is another. Yes,
If you
yes.
just joined us on the radio, this is 99.3 Nigeria Info. We are the nation's #1 news talk
Okay, so
and
please, I
sports
think I'm
radio
going to
Okay,
get
so
station.
off the
please,
phone
I think
now.
I'm going
Oh,
to
I think
get
I'm
off
going
the
to get off
phone
the
now.
phone now.
I think
Alright,
I'm
my
going to
dear.
get off the
Please be
phone
safe.
now.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. No, I'm not recording you. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm not recording you.
This is Hard Facts. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili.
And I'm Aghogho, Oboh.
Nigerians reacting to this xenophobic attacks in South Africa try to shut down ShopRite at Jakande. We've heard talk that MTN is also worried that this could also ripple over to their own business establishment. But we have to say that Nigerians need to remember that these establishments are staffed by Nigerians. Yes, there are South African interests, but they are staffed by Nigerians. And so while protesting is good, no violence, please. This doesn't need to degenerate into that situation, Aghogho.
Yeah, because like we've seen here, it's the opportunity for hoodlums to take over the event. I mean, the lady who got trapped in this entire thing and got her vehicle boggled, and as well as people attacked, is very unfortunate. So there are established institutions, authorities, and actors and players meant to mediate in this. We'll have to wait for them to handle this. I do understand the grievances by many people who've got relatives and loved ones in South Africa who may have been affected by the weekend incidents in Johannesburg and Pretoria, but definitely not the way to go with what is happening. A young man has lost his life, unfortunately, with what has happened. There'll be the back and forth who was responsible for it. Was it the policeman's bullet or something else? Unfortunately, that life will not be regained. But the implications and the ramifications of today are grave. If you just joined the conversation on 99.3 Nigeria Info, we're having a rolling conversation, a developing story, which began from the Big Three, where we did speak with Tunji Andrews, host of Morning Business Economy, who told us that we are having protests happening at ShopRite. And quickly, it did escalate to the point where at least one life has been lost. Properties, we don't understand the magnitude yet that we've lost today with ShopRite. And a number of South African interests, we also understanding in some parts of Lagos on the mainland, have closed business because of all that has been happening. So it's been a very fluid day.
We're getting unconfirmed reports that Nigerians are fighting back in Johannesburg as well, which begs the question, are the governments of Nigeria and South Africa doing enough to stop this madness? That's a huge question, a question that needs to be answered. But let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll take your thoughts. We will probably, I don't know, we'll decide what thoughts we want to take. Do we want to take thoughts, your reactions on this matter with what's happening in South Africa, also happening here in Lagos, or do we want to go back a few weeks ago and talk about the scam that happened in America?
We'll take their reaction, but we'll just urge people to be cautious in what they say, because I think we all have come to the understanding now that it's more important to be alive, than to lose your life in this sort of incidents. But let's take a quick break.
Hard Facts will be right back. Welcome back to Hard Facts.
All right, Lagos, let's talk to you. 012770993. That's the line for women. We want to hear from our women. 012770993. Don't call that line if you are male. 012770993. Call us on 012771993, 012772993, and 012773993. Let's keep the conversation civil, shall we? Let's keep it very civil. Let's stay away from overheating the polity. Let's stay away from endorsing crime or asking people to go out and commit crimes. If you veer off in that direction, I will cut you off. I know they play. I will cut you off. Okay. All right. So let's have a civil conversation about what's going on. Let's talk about this young man who has been killed right here in Lagos at Jakande in Lagos here on the island. Quite the unfortunate incident, something that shouldn't have happened, and yet here we are. So is this the right reaction? Are we acting right? Is this what we should be doing? Of course it's not. We shouldn't be doing this. How can we address our grievance with South Africa without resorting to violence? What's the best way to do it? 012770993, 012771993, 012772993, and 012773993. Facebook is Nigeria Info 99.3. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, welcome.
Yeah, my name is Sir Philip.
All right, Sir Philip.
See, what I have to say, I'm going to campaign our Nigeria police. Even in South Africa, police are killing our citizens. Why our police not killing our citizens? I'm telling you, we are quick too much. Do you know how many people they have lost their lives in South Africa? So it's time for us to react. I support this for us to react. To attack them, I'm telling you.
No, let's not support attacking South Africans. That's not right. That's illegal. Attacking anybody is a crime. Your answer for a crime is not more crime. There has to be other ways to address our grievances than carrying violence out. We've got Baba G who says the government needs to step in. How can the government step in, Baba G?
So, look, I remember this morning, I think we discussed it, was it on this platform, when the president said he's going to have a meeting with the president of South Africa by October. You know, later now we hear they summon the ambassador and they send message to them. He takes the president to cap the nerve of Nigerians. Look, if they are killing people in South Africa, not today, I think some years now, this problem, the president should a kind of national broadcast. You send a strong warning to South Africa that, look, we cannot take it any longer. If you have a government, it takes 6 months for you to organize your cabinet. Look at the PIE, what is it? The 9-point-something billion. Today, Nigeria is going to pay that money and they will seize our assets. And another one is building up again. The Power Maluba something about 2-point-something billion. Do you allow people to die first before you make a statement? I, Babaji, I will blame the federal government. Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling and sharing your thoughts, Babaji. We've got Olaleko in Ikorodu says Nigerians should say no to violence. Olaleko, I agree with you.
Yes, I said that the police should not be killing police. See, they are killing Nigerians over there, and Nigerians are also killing Nigerians. That's foolishness for crying out loud. I think the government, they are the ones that can do something. Let the government nationalize the companies. Jonathan did it, and it worked. Let them nationalize all these MTN, all these ShopRite, just and let Nigeria go. Let them nationalize it. And let there be public enlightenment. Let us enlighten our Nigerians that the people that are working for this company, they're also Nigerians. We don't have any reason to kill Nigerians for crying out loud. That's stupidity, foolishness. I've never heard where the South African police kill South Africans because of Nigeria. But we Nigerians, we are killing Nigerians. The police, we don't even have value for ourselves. That's why those people, they are killing Nigerians. When police are supposed to protect Nigerians, people have right to protect, only that it should not be violent. So the police should just caution them, not instead of killing them. So I think the government should say something as a matter of urgency. I see where they're burning Nigerians this morning. They are killing Nigerians as I'm speaking now. They are still killing Nigerians there. And Nigerians are killing Nigerians.
Let me reiterate that video you saw had nothing to do with what has happened over the weekend. That video, I've seen it for several years now, was not a Nigerian who was. I don't in any way support what happened, that people will touch people, but no Nigerian life was lost in the violence that happened over the weekend. And so,
what happened today? I thought Nigeria was running around today. The video was just sent today.
Good, that's the video for today, but not the video about people who were burning bodies and all of that.
You see Nigeria panicking, running around, even today.
Right.
Olaleko, thank you so much for calling to share your thoughts.
So let's just reiterate that in the violence that happened over the weekend, according to authorities, Nigerian authorities, South African authorities, no life was lost. Businesses were destroyed, burnt, and all of that. So please, that video you say somebody was being touched, and then please disregard. Let's see some messages on WhatsApp here. Good evening, Nigeria Info. 2 wrongs, they say, don't make a right. We will be doing ourselves in if we take reciprocal violent action at